Hello and welcome to the regular Friday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight we will do a prediction and predicted lineup of Forest, but first we have other things to discuss under Spurs news and views. I don't do long intros, so I'll get straight into it. What I'll say is we've got a fantastic panel for you this week, so much better than last week's. Right.
Tell me about
it. So I'll start with you, James, first. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum, my good friend. Yeah, nice to be on. I'm in a good mood. Happy to talk about Spurs.
What's the weather like on the south coast?
Cold and raining. My cat came in the house quite wet, so I had to dry him off with a towel.
Okay. Alan, how are you, mate?
Good. It's 25 here today, so enjoying and clear. So it's 77 on our end. And doing well. Happy it's Friday. It's been a long week. And I'm looking forward to Sunday.
So that's in California. How are things in Michigan, Steve?
They're absolutely frozen. And that's the brutal truth about winters here in the Great Lakes, right? They start around late November and they don't end until late February. So, once the snow starts falling, as it has here in the fighting town of Flint, Michigan, everybody just seems to get very ultra cranky really quick. So, it is what it is. But that being said, man, Sunday we have an interesting matchup against Nottingham Forest. And, I think a lot of Spurs fans were hoping that it was going to be Ange Postecoglou, but unfortunately it's Sean Dyche. Which brings up another, interesting set of circumstances. So I'm looking forward to this one. And also all the conversation that we're going to do tonight, Alan. Excuse me.
Well, I'm in Edmonton, the Riviera of North London, right? Tonight it will be 3 degrees, but it has been about 10 or 11 during the daytime, so it's not too bad. Right, we're going to start with the recent games, guys. I'll get your comments on it, but Spurs news and views. A 2-2 draw and 2 clean sheets in the last 3 games. Is this just serendipity, or has Frank discovered a winning formula? Steve?
Great question. So I guess that question has to be followed up with another question, right? Is the 2 on the bounce a question of improvement, or was it the inferior opposition? Or was it both, right? Was this just serendipitous that the timing worked out, that we were able to get Brentford and also Slavia Praha to the point where maybe we were able to right the wrongs? Now, certainly in that Brentford matchup, I saw a lot of very good things, especially on the counterattack. Xavi got his first goal and his first assist, playing the way that he's actually supposed to be played on the ball. And I think they tried to replicate that a little bit about against Slavia Praha. I mean, the first 3 minutes of the game, Wilson Odegaard, essentially charges down the left flank and is able to put a ball in. And Richarlison actually put a good move on that ball. He actually went the direction he's supposed to. It just so happens that it was a good reflex save. And as that game progressed, you saw them trying to replicate, some direct counterattack. And I guess credit to Slavia Praha because they actually played some pretty decent defense at times. And it just felt like when certain things weren't working, they were kind of reverting back to some of their old habits. The one thing that I didn't necessarily like in that second win was the fact that we didn't score a goal from the run of play. And maybe I'm splitting hairs here because we ended up winning 3-0, right? You get an own goal plus 2 penalties, 2 dumb penalties, if you ask me. Those penalties were unnecessary from their point of view. But from that fact, I will say that it almost felt like we had one very good game where you saw very good progress, and then you saw one where when things didn't necessarily go right, you saw a little bit of a step back. But that being said, it's hard for me to really get angry because it's 2 wins and it's 2 on the bounce, and all of a sudden it feels like there might be momentum, and we're going into a team like Nottingham Forest, who are down at the bottom end of the bottom end. But that being said, they're actually very well organized now under Sean Dyche, right? So it's like it's hard. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, it's hard for me to necessarily be upset, but that being said, I look at it for what it is, and it's hard for me to say whether or not we've legit turned a corner or if it was just the timing worked out so well that we just had 2 opponents that were just better than.
Alan, your take on the last 3 games?
Well, I have 2 thoughts. One, I heard a stat. I don't remember if it was the We Are Tottenham TV guys or who, but they said that for so far this season, every game that Xavi has started, we've won, and then every
we have
game
1 game without him, though.
What's that?
We have 1 game without him. Go on, carry on, though.
Yeah. But the games that he had, but they're all games where he hasn't started, I guess. But he's come in. I think we've lost.
I think you're on to this, which was one of my questions. All out of Tottenham's victory since Xavi Simons have come after Summers has started. Can we read anything into this? Right. Well, so we can double this up. Go on. He's definitely helped somehow. Thomas Frank has obviously given the go ahead to be a little more offensive. It's just by the way they're playing. I mean, he's playing coy. But he's playing coy. If you watch all of his interviews, which I do, Adrian sends them and I watch them. The interviews, he plays coy. Even when you ask about Dominic Solanke, he plays coy all the time. And I think in this, someone asked him about that very question. How do you feel? Have you given that? Have you kind of changed the tactics for the players, given them license to kind of be a little more aggressive? And he kind of plays coy with it. But I think it's obvious based on their play style, he's giving them a little more leeway. But he's also playing the same play. He played the same players pretty much in these last 2 games. Archie Gray was out there. He kind of had the nice mix where players are getting an opportunity to play together. And that's something I know Steve has brought up in the past. That gelling, giving them time to gel as a group, a cohesive group. That is something that Thomas Frank did talk about a little bit, where he said that, you get like Richarlison, you get Moani, you get Xavi, they're all, and Kudus, and they're all like in form at the same time. He said, he was mentioning that there is a benefit to having these players that are just in form at the moment, all at the same time. On just to come back here on the coy bit of the interviews. I mean, Ange did exactly the same thing. We virtually think a player was injured, then suddenly he's playing the next game. Know what I mean? So yeah, he did that. James, what's your talk like the last 3 games, and obviously
the
last 3 games? What's your take?
I think Newcastle game we were somewhat fortunate. I don't think we were significantly better than when we played Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. I think ultimately, they got a penalty that should never have been a penalty in 1,000 years, to the point where you have Arsenal fans calling out how nonsense that decision was. And ultimately, Cristiano Romero stepped up and scored 2 ridiculous goals, especially a second goal. But I guess sometimes the result is far more important than the performance. Then you look at the Brentford game, which I was sceptical about. We played quite well, I thought. We played really, really well. Obviously, Brentford struggled away from home, but very positive performance from us. Then you look to the Slavia Prague game, and okay, it's Slavia Prague. They're not a bad side, right? And we did concede quite a few chances. But even though, okay, we got an own goal and 2 penalties, we should have been a few up before that. Ultimately, poor finishing was the only reason we didn't win that game 5 or 6-0. Like, we created a lot of chances and we played quite well. Okay, we were a little bit poor at the back at times, but when you're a few goals up and you're dominating a game, sometimes mentally defenders will switch off a little bit. We got a fortunate result, potentially, which came from an individual. And then we've had 2 good performances and 2 good results. And sometimes when you're in a slump, it's just about getting a good result and building on that. So whether or not it's Frank, whether or not it's the players, I'm being quietly optimistic about this, but I do think we've turned a corner a little bit mentally and in the squad. And I think also the fan base seeing this, we're being a little bit less critical, which obviously I think will help the players.
Steve, are we getting a bit too excited over this? I mean, the last 2 games were at home. Frank knows Brentford, and inside out, you would have thought, apart from players they've brought in, and like Slavia Prague, well, not top-notch opposition.
I think we should be excited as a fan base because we're actually talking about something else besides Thomas Frank getting sacked, right? We're actually winning, and I think that I think that is a cure for what's ailing even the worst of Spurs fans that may or may not have jumped off board. And I think it's I don't think it's hyperbole to go over the fact that winning is absolutely important to this club, especially when you consider the last couple of months. We get off to a nice start. We have 17 points, like with 2 months, and then all of a sudden the calendar hits late October, early November, and the opposition gets a little bit better. And it's no surprise that we struggle throughout that. And so we're looking for, Thomas Frank was looking for the right combination, something that is going to stable something out. And it looked like he may have stumbled upon something in that Brentford game. Yeah, you probably can point to the Newcastle game and being able to walk away with that one as a result. Me personally, I think we've already seen that this year. Being able to come back when otherwise it would suggest that we wouldn't. We did it at Brentford. We did it a few different times where we kind of showed that mettle to be able to come back and get a result. So from that standpoint, I don't think it was really all that, of an incredible feat. But what I will say is that, that Brentford match really kind of took me by surprise, because those are the games that we have shown over the last year and a half to lose, where everything would point to us having every single type of advantage, whether it was tactically or whether it was talent, and yet we figured out a way to walk away with a loss, right? And so from that standpoint, especially this year, considering our home form has been an absolute abomination, to get that win and to turn around to do it against Slavia Praha in the Champions League, 2 straight wins on the bounce at home, right? To kind of rewrite this narrative that, we can only express ourselves on the road, and for whatever reason, we're too tight or we're too conservative at home. All of a sudden now that changes that narrative because we were able to do it. And again, I don't think it's a bad thing to be excited, or maybe to overblow the fact that we have 2 straight wins on the bounce. I actually think that it's a good thing, and I think it should be talked about. And I'm glad that we're actually talking about it, whether we're overblowing it or not. The results are exactly that, and I actually think that if anything, that is the turning point. Not the 2 wins, but the fact that we were able to do it at home, and we can actually now rewrite that narrative. That to me is the most important thing.
I'm always going to celebrate the wins, James, and they were 2 clean sheets at home as well.
Yeah, I mean, Brentford game, I thought we were exceptional, and Slavia Prague, I will say, some excellent saves from Vicario. They made some chances. Slavia Prague aren't a bad team. They've only lost 1 more game in Europe this season than Barcelona or Chelsea. Then they're no mugs. They aren't a bad side.
Yeah, but they haven't scored a goal since their opener, though. They haven't scored a goal in the Champions League since their opener. I think it was Bodo, where they had a 2-0 lead and then they blew it late. And that's the last time they have actually scored.
Yeah, and I guess you could argue, right, like sometimes bad finishing happens, but they can certainly create chances. And you're not in the Champions League if you're not a decent side, right?
Correct.
And it's positive, and hopefully, at the very least, even if it's only performative, it'll build confidence for the players and Vicario and just everyone on the team. And ultimately, we've been quite poor defensively this season, to the point where even my mate, who's an Arsenal fan, has said, "How were you worse defensively under Frank than you were under Ange?" That makes no sense. Hopefully, just builds a bit of confidence, and some of the players who have been perhaps a little bit off it can just feel a bit better about themselves, and they can get back into a bit of good form. And if that's all this does, then it's only going to be positive for us.
Alan, I mean, I didn't think Vicario had a tough save to make. I thought their best chance when the guy was free in the air and he headed over the bar and he had the whole of the goal to aim at, basically.
Oh, against Slavia Prague? Yeah. He really didn't have a lot to do. In my opinion, you're right. He didn't have a whole lot to do. He's been under a lot more pressure in other games. That game wasn't one of them. It was funny. It was the type of game where it felt like they were setting us up for success because they weren't really all that good, and allowed us to do our thing in the midfield. And again, it's won and lost in the midfield. We did very well, but we never put anything away in open play, which was, I think, the only. I mean, we got the penalties we got. We got 2 penalties. I don't remember the last time we've had 2 penalty kicks in a game for us. It's been a while. The ref, he gave out, I think, 7 cards in that game. He was very yellow card heavy. Mickey Van de Ven did not deserve that yellow card. And it really screws us because now he misses the game against Dortmund.
Yeah. It was for an elbow, though, in the face, I think. That's what I got off the stats. I couldn't see it at the ground. I was watching the game, but I thought, what's that for?
Yeah.
So we couldn't see it. So unless the stats where I've got them off one footballer wrong, it said it was for an elbow in the face. So continental refs,
Yeah. But you're right. Vicario didn't have a lot to do. And then that says something about our defense. I thought the defense was great. I mean, they didn't do a lot of shooting. They just didn't. They never looked like they were going to win. We looked like it was ours the whole time. It was just a function of the fact that we couldn't seem to put things together to put the ball in at open play. We had to score twice with penalty kicks and force an own goal. But you take the wins as again, it kind of James says, you kind of take that as performative. You just accept it. You won. You were the better team. It bolsters the spirit. It's good for the team. And then you just move on to the next game.
Right. You can find those of you watching us on various platforms in the chat. You can find Alan here at Team Go, Team Tottenham Go. Get on to Steve now. Steve, yeah, VDV. Let's talk about the yellow cards in here. Let me bring the banner up.
They were topless in December. That's right. They were crazy.
Yeah. This is the yellow cards in the Champions League. Like if you get 3 like VDV's got here, Steve, I'm going to bring up the other yellow cards now and compare it as well. Like, because you've got this.
Yeah.
Is this a good thing? Are we getting a bit more bite in our team now, which we need to be? As Jose said, we should be more C's, shouldn't he? Without swearing. And we've got a squad, so a squad should be able to cope with a 1 max ban. It's a bit different if you get a red card for violent, you get 3.
Mm-hmm.
To give you an example as well, compare it to the Premier League. Romero's 7, Kudus 3, Paulina 3, VDV 3, Richarlison 3, Bent. I mean, do we think we've got a discipline issue here or not?
I mean,
I don't. Yeah. Oh, are you talking to me or James? I'm sorry.
I'm talking to you, Steve. Go on.
Oh, okay. I don't think so at all. As a matter of fact, I personally thought VDV's yellow was kind of soft. But that being said, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's actually now suspended for Borussia Dortmund in January. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think they're. So here's the thing, right? I like the fact that we're giving it back. and what I mean by that is when opposition tries to bully us off the ball, or if they make kind of a questionable tackle, it seems like that we are willing to meet that intensity, fire for fire, which I absolutely love, right? But I actually think Spurs have actually been kind of smart about it as well too, because it's not like they're just willy nilly, going all Graham Souness out there and just snapping ankles and dropping spikes on chest and having that type of absurdity. But that being said, they have been willing to match it. And from that standpoint, that's not, for me at least, that's night and day better than the last 2 years we saw Spurs literally just cower away from anything that resembled intensity. So from that standpoint, I like it. But again, I thought the VDV yellow was soft as hell. Especially in that moment, I didn't necessarily understand the need to draw the yellow at that point in time. Because I'm trying to remember the play. In my mind, I'm literally trying to remember that play.
It was early. It was like in the 15th or 20th minute or something.
Correct. Yeah, no, and I'm trying to remember the play itself of why it was given, but I'm trying to think right now. But regardless, as far as I'm concerned, I like it when a team shows a little bite, shows a little character, that they're willing to actually step up for their teammates and protect their teammates. And so from that standpoint, we've kind of seen that this year. I think some of these yellow cards are a little outlandish and a little absurd, just because, again, I think it's more of the environment of what these referees are these days versus where they were. There's an opportunity to let the game play itself, let it develop itself, where you absolutely do not need to bring out early cards to set the tone, unless it's something absolutely egregious where you absolutely have to show yellow. But that being said, it's like it almost feels like sometimes, especially early in the matches, you'll see yellows as a means of letting both sides understand exactly that it's not going to get out of hand. And from that standpoint, I think some of these yellows are a little more bloated than they absolutely should be, but that's just me.
James, your take on the yellow cards?
Yeah, I mean, if you want good officiating, don't watch any UEFA or Premier League matches, because you won't see any good officiating. Better officiating at Sunday League. I mean, like, for me, it's largely on intent, whether or not a yellow card should be given early. I always bring this up. Sorry to be annoying. But England-Croatia 2018 semi-final. Croatia, a lot of their fouls were tactical decisions to impede the play and slow the game down. Those sorts of fouls, which are pretty obvious to see if you watch football, yeah, absolutely. Early yellows, say if you do it again, I will send you off, because that completely takes the entire tactic away, which is cheating. Fouls that are mistimed or maybe you go a little bit far, but there's no ill intent. Yeah, I mean, you can have a talk to the player first. You can say to the players, hey guys, I will book you if you're going over the edge. I think some referees go a little bit overboard with it, and honestly, probably some of them are on an ego trip, because I think you probably have to be a bit big-headed to be a referee in this sort of football, because you're dealing with, millionaires, basically. I like the fact that we're actually playing for each other, and I like the fact we're willing to fight. Do find it interesting that the media narrative is, Romero gets yellow cards. He's not the one suspended. Interesting. I don't know. Some of them are a little bit silly.
He just had a suspension for one game.
He's not had a red card in 2 years, though. So, But, it is what it is. And ultimately, teams will just get fouls and you just deal with it, right? Like, that's why Kevin Downs is at the club. That's why Dragusin is still at the club, I think. I haven't seen him in like 3 months. So, who knows what he's doing. But yeah, we have depth. We'll deal with it. Every team gets suspensions.
Right.
It's what it is.
Well, look, in the Premier League, I mean, like Richarlison's got 7. I've put it up because he's had his ban on 5, but he's now got to go to the 32nd game without getting 10. Then he would get a 2-match ban. But the others on 3, there's only 3 games to go, and they'll all have to pick up 2 yellow cards, right, before the 18th game, and then they still count for the total to a number 10 if they get 10, but they won't receive a ban. I mean, my take on it is, yeah, dissent, you get it. Simulation like Basuma did against Luton away, you get it, fair enough. I don't think referees should give a yellow card for a player take his shirt off to celebrate a goal. I mean, for Christ's sake, this is football. What are you trying to do? Kill the spirit of the game?
I just want to raise a point. I can't remember who it was, but there was a referee being interviewed on TV. It was the guy who was officiating the Man City QPR game when City won the Premier League for the first time. And he said, I don't want to give him a yellow card, but, that's the rules. And then he turned around and said, if he was on his second yellow, I wouldn't have given him another yellow and sent him off. So the rules kind of like interchangeable sometimes.
Yeah, they're flexible. They're
okay. Honestly, I'm a big fan of the fact in rugby, the officials have to, and if you watch a rugby match, they will explain the decisions they're making and what they're doing, and they'll consult with VAR, and as a fan, you can hear it. And at least then there's that transparency of why they made said decision, what they agreed on, and whether or not you agree with it, you can at least understand their thought process. Whereas in football, it seems a lot of decisions are kind of arbitrary.
Alan,
I don't know. I think
go on, Steve.
I was going to say it's kind of ridiculous, right? The ability to hand out a yellow for taking off your shirt for celebrating is more excessive than a player who is absolutely flopping to kill time. And the referee understands that the player is not hurt, and that player is trying to reset the momentum because the game has swung decisively in a different direction, and this is an opportunity to reset and take a breath and get their team, I guess, refocused. And the art of absolutely killing time is so ridiculous that no cards are handed out then. No cards will ever be handed out then, as a means of what I like to consider the modern age embarrassment in football, which is absolutely flopping. And me personally, that's where a yellow probably should come out. A line should be made in the sand. But for stripping off your shirt for scoring a big goal and absolutely celebrating in the moment, that's yellow card worthy. As James said, right? These referees are flexible when it comes to rules.
Alan, we beat Slavia Prague 3-0. I came away from the game feeling a bit deflated. I was similar to pleased with the win, but the fact we hadn't scored a goal in open play, it's sort of like even Kev Clark I was talking to when we were walking back to the station. I said, it just feels a little bit strange. I'm glad we won, but 2 penalties and an own goal. Nice own goal, though, wasn't it? A striker.
Yeah, great shot.
It was classy. But on that, Slavia Prague, right now, we've got 2 games left. We've got Dortmund at home and Frankfurt away. What's your expectations?
My expectations of the next few games is for us to win. I think they are all winnable games. I think most of the teams in the Champions League, we got Dortmund, we have I think Dortmund at home and Frankfurt away. We beat Frankfurt before, didn't we, in the Europa League?
Yeah, we've knocked them out of the cup a few times, even right in the 80s. Well,
yeah, I feel like these are winnable games, and our form we're coming into form at a good time. I guess it's never a bad time to come into form, but now is a good time because we're really getting into the meat of the season. FA Cup at some point will start up, not too long. So we're starting to get into it.
Steve, a win will probably definitely mean we qualify, but even a draw might do it. Even a point might do it now. So
Dortmund, and I believe we get Dortmund. Our next Champions League fixture is January 20th.
Yeah,
I think we have the FA Cup third round against Villa before that on the 10th, right? So the next 3 in the Premier League are Forest, Liverpool at home, and then Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park before we get Brentford on the road, and then we get Sunderland at home. And by the way, Sunderland is not going to be a walk in the park either. Then that's followed by Bournemouth. So there really is not a breather until maybe January 17th when we host West Ham. And then, of course, the 24th of January, we have Burnley, right? So the reality is like momentum is a very big thing. We have two on the bounce going up against a Nottingham Forest team that is absolutely beatable. As of right now, they're still kind of reeling from the fact that they got two managers fired within the scope of 45 days, and now it feels like now they're kind of getting used to their third manager of the year. That type of continuity is something that is really hard to gain for those type of teams that are constantly chopping and changing their coaches and their approach to play games. So if there was any time to beat Nottingham Forest, now would be the time. I guess the question is this team capable of breaking down a Sean Dyche defense, right? Because that's how Sean Dyche will like to play, right? He will give us the ball. We'll have control possession for 60 to 65% of the game, and they're going to try to beat us on the counterattack, right? So who is going to be the first team to blink? If it's us and we're able to get on the board early, potential good things can happen. And if not, one wonders where where a result is going to come into the next four. Because if we drop it against Forest,
we'll come on to Forest later. James, just saying these fixtures coming up. If we hang in there, time we get to January, which isn't far away now, I would expect us by the time we play Dortmund on the 20th. I'm expecting 2 signings.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
and a strong finish to the season.
I don't know who we get. Right, like I don't really. I try not to pay too much attention to transfer rumors, just because they infuriate me. Because it's like, we're going to sign Paulo Dybala, and then we don't sign Paulo Dybala because Daniel Levy wasn't willing to pay for image rights or whatever nonsense. I think if you look on except the fixtures, all very winnable. Actually, Liverpool are a basket case at the moment. Salah's fallen out with Slot. The whole club's in turmoil. They've not played any decent football this year. They're very beatable, I think, actually. Brentford away, yeah, winnable. Forest, okay. Yeah, they're doing slightly better results-wise under Sean Dyche. But fun fact, Ange Postecoglou's Forest, which won, I think, one game, in terms of expected goals, outperformed Sean Dyche's. Yeah, no. And Ange XG-wise, against Chelsea, that XG in that game was higher than anything Sean Dyche has produced, which is just hilarious to me. Almost like the issue was the players and the owner, not him, but, say Sarah. They're all difficult games and they're all important tests, but I think they're all very winnable, and we should at least be getting results in all of them. Liverpool, they're a basket case. Maybe we'll struggle, but I think at the very least we should be incredibly competitive in that game. And obviously, we have West Ham eventually in January. And it reminds me of a tweet that everyone thinks their system's clicked when in reality they're just playing West Ham. So, that's a nice 3 points for us because they are horrendously bad at football. We definitely need reinforcements. For me, I think it's a fullback and probably a midfielder. But who we get is yet to be known. Hopefully, with the ownership restructure, we actually look to be competitive in the market. I mean, we're one of the highest revenue football clubs in the world, yet we act like, that we shop at Lidl, right? When in reality, we could be shopping at
another club shop at Harrods.
Yeah, we could be shopping at Harrods. We have the money for it. It's in the budget, but we're shopping at, we're going to the food bank sort of thing.
If we ended up with Antoine Semenyo and Nathaniel Brown in the window, essentially just an upgraded left side, I would be okay with holding off for striker until the summer when the market actually is when the market is actually going to bear better options for this team. I'm more inclined to roll with Randall Kolo Muani, Dominic Solanke, and Richie for the rest of the season. There are goals there. One of the things that I would be okay with is the fact that now all of a sudden our attack actually has balance with a left side that's actually going to be playing with the exact same intensity of the right side, to the point where we're not going to be one dimensional from that standpoint.
I totally agree. I mean, Richarlison has scored, I think, 4 in his last 6. He's in a little bit of form, and obviously he's Brazil's main guy ahead of a World Cup. He's going to be super motivated for that. And, he's played well the last few games he's played. He's actually been decent. Even if he hasn't scored, he's been a nuisance. Solanke will be back eventually, and I'm sure he will be positive. Kulusevski and Maddison will both be back at some point, and they'll obviously contribute. There are definitely goals in the team, and it will get better. And Colin Moani, I think, has actually been, not perfect, but he is a good player. You can see it in him. So there are lots of pieces to the puzzle that obviously we don't have the whole jigsaw there yet, but there are enough pieces that we can sort of make do in certain areas, I think, for the time being. Left-sided players I think is crucial. I think maybe another right-sided player, because Kudus is great, but I do worry that he's inconsistent. And when you look at who else other than Kudus, it's okay, Kulusevski, who's been injured for a while, who I think is probably better as a 8, not out wide. Then it's Brennan Johnson, who in a system, can be a fantastic goal scorer, but I feel like that's all Brennan Johnson can do. He's a poacher, that's it. He has no other footballing talents, really. So I think it's just about adding a bit of versatility tactically to the squad and a bit more talent. So guys like Semieno, be tremendous for us.
Just get onto that. I just want to go through the chat, and then I'm going to move on to transfers before we discuss Forest away. Brian Knight, friend of mine in real life. Hello, Brian. Good evening to you. Steve is saying hello. Like he says, we got 35-year viewing us on various platforms. If you like the content, it only takes a second. The content we bring you is free. We pride ourselves on bringing you fact-based content. So all you have to do is hit that red subscribe button at the bottom right-hand corner. Give the video a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm, helps us grow. Roger Maltz, big friend of the show. Big up Spurs. Keep it up, Adrian and guests. We will do, Roger. We will. Evening, gents, from Graham. Oh, shut up, Alan. Don't know what that's about.
That was about the weather, I think.
We paid big time for the weather. We paid, yeah. It's Alan, yeah. You're damn right you paid for the weather, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Evening, chaps in chat. Yeah, it's Carl. Right. Look through these, big up. Everyone's saying, big up Luke. Big up Luke from Spotlight on Spurs. Get over to there as well, guys. Get over to Spotlight on Spurs. Great content with Luke. He really knows his stuff. Was it a good thing? Yeah, well, this is it. This is what we're waiting to see if we can maintain this little bit of momentum we've gained. I don't see why we can't. I always said if we could hang in there on Christmas, then by the time the transfer window comes, Decky will be back and perhaps 2 new signings, and suddenly we're cooking. And you have to bear in mind with that, the reason I say that with confidence is because, you've got Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Man United, got big squads like us. Perhaps you could throw Newcastle in there as well. But the likes of Brighton and Bournemouth and the others, they haven't got big squads, and that can affect teams going to the last half of the season if they can't rotate like we can. So, Alan's there. Right, back to the banners. Right, my hateful subject, but we're going to talk about transfer rumours. And Steve must be reading my mind, even with his question me on WhatsApp today, because I already had the question up there. But now we know, right? I mean, I want left-footed players in left-footed positions. So I want Spence on the right as competition for Porro, right? I wouldn't mind this guy. National Brown Eintracht Frankfurt, German international, 22-year-old left back. And this kid is fast, right? He is fast, right? I don't know if what has come back to you, Steve? You mentioned him. Have you looked him up, or was it just a link I gave you?
No, as a matter of fact, as being in tune with the United States men's national team, he was absolutely a target for the last 2 years. Because of his dad, who's an American, he was a dual national. Of course, he grew up in Germany, and ultimately he chose the German national team when there was a lot of brouhaha surrounded our former coach, Greg Berhalter, then transitioning to Pochettino. He decided just to put his stakes down for Germany, and we missed out. But that being said, as somebody who has watched him play for the last year and a half, 2 years, it's very rare that you find an outside back that is so good on the ball, so proficient on the ball in tight spaces, but also understands how to play as well, play his way, out of the press. And this dude is legit, and it's a wonder why 7 teams in the Premier League have been wanting him for the last 6 months to a year now, because they absolutely love the upside. And from that standpoint, we saw him a little bit last year in the Europa League. I think he played in the first leg there at Frankfurt, and I don't think he played in the second leg. But even then, you can see the upside when he was on the pitch last year. To be honest, I guess the question is whether or not he's ready to make that jump from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. That being said, what I do like about it is the fact that the Bundesliga, everybody lauds the Premier League for its physical play, and it's very true. But same thing can be said with the Bundesliga. It is a fast, physical league, and so from that standpoint, I don't have any issues with a player making the jump from the Bundesliga to the Premier League, because I think they've I think they've already been essentially dealt with for a good long portion, regardless of the skill set within teams. The reality is everybody's physical in the Bundesliga. So from that standpoint, to be able to play out of a press in the Bundesliga means you're going to be able to do it at the Premier League level. So from that standpoint, I would love to have it. And it's one of those. It's also one of those moves for Destiny Udogie as well too, because as you said, Adrian, and I think Alan also backed this one up as well too. They would rather have Jed Spence competing with Pedro Porro on the right-hand side. It's his natural position. And that being said, I also think there is a little bit of comfortability with Pedro Porro as well too, understanding that he's generally going to be picked every single match day. There really is no competition for him on the right-hand side, and that's something Jed Spence would be able to give him. And for Destiny Udogie, having a young, talented kid who's essentially in the exact same age group with the exact same skill set, pressing him and competing with him, it's only going to make them better as well too. And so I would probably assume this is actually a move that would make Spurs night and day better.
Alan, we need a left-sided, don't we? I mean, at least you could rest Porro, who's played 90 games, and it showed in his form recently. He's been a bit up and down, and sometimes he's been a bit poor. And the other reason, of course, is you've got a left footer, and rather than a right footer there, when you get down to the opposing penalty area, the right footer like Spence wants to cut in, and the winger doesn't get no ball service because he cuts in. The same happens on the other side. So, and we've got the money, because if we had 70 mil for Savinho and then we had another 100 mil pumped in the club, forget the 100 mil that's put aside for infrastructure, like the hotel and the women's training ground, there's about 170 mil there. So we can go, and I'd like us to get this left back, actually. He's the right age, So what's your take? I mean, we could get a left back and a left-sided winger in, which I'll come to after another one in a minute.
Well, yeah, I mean, just in general, I think we need to splash the cash. I think the club is trying to distance itself from Daniel Levy, even reinforced by even recent actions by the club where they're looking into Daniel Levy's time and to see how he spent the money and how he dealt with certain transactions like the sponsorship with the naming rights and all that stuff and takeovers and whatnot. So they're looking into Daniel Levy. And I think if they can apportion the transfers as another failing of Daniel Levy's by splashing the cash, they will win over a lot of fans. And so I think it's as much PR as it is good for the club for them to be splashing cash. This is, generally speaking, splashing the cash doesn't get the fan attention like it will in this window. So I think we can get a left-sided left back, a left-footed left back. I think we need a left-footed left winger. And I mean, the striker, Randall Colomwani, is still adjusting. I mean, I have to keep reminding myself, the guy's got a fractured jaw. He's running around with a piece of kit that's very awkward on his face while he's trying, when he tries to head the ball. It's got to be weird. trying to do everything with that on your face and dealing with it on your jaw and whatnot. And before that, he had the dead leg. This is a guy who otherwise wasn't injured. He came to Tottenham and got himself all kinds of injured. But I think he will come really good. We've seen what, in moments, we've seen what he is capable of. The receiving the ball off of his chest and kind of passing it over to get headed in, the other against Brentford. He's a selfless player. He's always looking to put the ball in the back of the net. He's fast. He's deceptively fast. I didn't realize he's as fast as he is. He's always moving around. So I don't know. I think I kind of agree with Steve. If we don't get a striker in this window, it won't upset me too much. But we do need to get a couple of players. I would like at least 2, preferably 3 players in. To reinforce. I don't know if that means someone in the midfield. I don't know, because the midfield's going to get crowded as people start coming back. I think we do need someone else to kind of help out Mohamed Kudus. He also is someone like Pedro Porro who can be overused, and I think he needs the rest. I think Mohamed Kudus demands a lot of himself. You can see it by the way he plays, by the way he kind of concentrates and seems to want to play all the time, but the body has other ideas. As I'm older now, a bit older, I understand what it is to need rest. The body needs rest. And I think even as kids, the younger people, they need the rest and time to recuperate, even if they don't necessarily want to. So if we can get someone on the right, and then 2 on the left.
James, ENIC must act in this window. I don't think they've got a choice, just to show a statement of intent. It's no good putting the money up. And also to get a jump on our rivals, because some of our rivals who have spent heavily might not be able to go in this window because wait until after April when the new financial year starts from, and they've got other revenues coming in. So go on. You're on mute, James, I think.
I mean, so ENIC isn't. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
No?
Now you've gone quiet.
Okay, sorry. Don't know what was on my mic. Don't know what was wrong with my mic. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Yes? Hello? No?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry. I needed audio confirmation. So sorry, you said it quite quiet. Anyway, the point I was going to make was ENIC isn't the same ENIC it was under Levy. ENIC before was Levy predominantly following Joe Lewis's orders. Now, Lewis has his own problems around insider trading and corruption, I think, in the financial markets that he's on trial for. So he doesn't own ENIC anymore. It's held in a trust which is operated by his daughter, I believe. His daughter actually is a Spurs fan. And I believe that she and her brother are now more or less running ENIC. She has been going to Spurs games for quite a while. And for all intents and purposes, she's a Spurs fan, right? So there is that certain paradigm shift. Not to say that Levy wasn't a Spurs fan or was, but I think even if he was, he viewed Spurs as a business, not a football club. Even if he wanted Spurs to do well, ultimately it was a business investment, right? Because Lewis is his godfather, I think. So ultimately, I think there will potentially be a shift in how the club operates in terms of the transfer market and those sorts of things. Obviously, it will still have to be self-sustaining. We're not going to get like Roman Abramovich or Man City, where the United Arab Emirates just like endlessly pump money into the club. But I think it will be seen as a football club. As long as it's self-sustaining and isn't running at a loss, it will be seen as a football club. So yeah, I think we will go out and spend money, 100%. The other thing I was going to point out was, for me, Jed Spencer's a little bit annoyed me lately because of some of his social media posts. Now, my cat's running around. I appreciate it's probably just him joking with his fellow teammates, but that doesn't come across to the public. I mean, him making jokes about how he's going to pocket Mohamed Kudus in the World Cup and how he pocketed Brennan Johnson in a international fixture when they're his teammates doesn't come across great PR wise, especially when he was terrible in that England game, by the way. To me, he's one or two things away from me saying he should just leave because I mean he's a worse player than Pedro Porro. So, and yeah, I don't know. He's wound me up a little bit with those sorts of posts. Maybe I'm being reactionary, maybe I'm not, but I don't know. That wound me up. I just remembered it. But yeah, no, like look, realistically, the ENIC ownership has changed, and we will go and spend whether we spend correctly. Because by the way, we have been spending for quite a long time. Is a completely different conversation. We might go out and spend 200 million on complete dross, right? But we probably will spend money in January, especially with a new ownership.
Yeah, Steve, this name keeps cropping up. I haven't got to watch him until I hear the agents are talking, the clubs are talking, or the players agreed terms. I'm not going to go and watch the videos, right? But he's a Belgian international, been smashing it up there. 24-year-old right-footed centre midfielder, DM at Glasgow Rangers. I haven't watched him play. I've got to be honest about this. Have you seen him?
Here's the thing. The last time I actually watched Rangers was prior to Home Dude getting sacked because obviously I was very much into seeing how Mikey Moore was getting on up there with Rangers. But that being said, ever since what's his name, the former Southampton boss,
Pochettino?
No. Anyway, I haven't necessarily seen Rangers play a lot. I think if I'm being perfectly honest, I've seen more Aberdeen and Falkirk play than I have Rangers from that standpoint. I probably wouldn't be the right guy to answer this question.
Yeah, okay, then we'll move on though. So he's just one to keep an eye on. We'll see if there is genuine interest in him. I mean, we know what it's like on social media. They will link us with every man and his dog, you know. So yeah, well, the rumor mill's in full swing already. It seems to never end, really. You know, if they're not trying to get rid of our good players, they're trying to throw everyone at us. But Alan, these are the ones that have been doing the rounds quite a lot. Not so much Lookman recently, but Semenyo, the media post today, man, he won't want to come to Spurs, blah blah. Is this that because he'll go to the Northwest, he'll go to City or Liverpool, man. But I don't see Man United buying more wingers in, and with City, you know that they've still got Silvino and you've got Bob and you've got. I mean, like they're top heavy. He may want to go to one of those clubs in preference to us because they've been more successful with winning trophies, but. I still think Spurs should just activate the release calls on Semenyo in January, see what happens. If the players, unless the player's already said he doesn't want to come to Spurs, that's fine. We move on. But
yeah, I don't see Semenyo going to Man City. Savino is having a tough enough time getting in, although I guess a lot of the Man City I've been watching some of their fan channels, and I don't know how popular a player he is. They don't really rate him yet because he doesn't get much time. And I don't know if that's because they don't rate him or what. But Semenyo, we saw it with Jack Grealish. Semenyo is just going to get lost on the left side because the team is not built the way other teams are built. This team is built around Erling Haaland. And the Erling Haaland has so many more goals and goal contributions than any other player on that team. You probably combine all the players on that team, we get what Haaland has produced. So it's all about
plays on the left.
And right, but he doesn't get but he's not lighting the world on fire. He's doing well, but he's not lighting it up on fire. And more importantly, I think he's doing a good enough job that I don't see Semenyo doing a whole lot more for them. And I just don't see him getting the minutes that he's going to want to get and the feature that he's going to, because he's probably got, look, they all have egos. And if he's not the one scoring the goals, he's not going to be getting the accolades like Haaland. And Haaland is always going to be it. So, and Liverpool, they just spent like £500 million on Ekitike and Verts and a whole bunch of other people.
Isaac.
Isaac. And I know, and they've got a Salah issue right now, so they more, potentially they've changed things up. Salah, regardless if things work out with him or not, he is going to age out at some point. They're going to want to move on from Mohamed Salah, and so they're going to have to concentrate on that side. I just don't see them looking for a Semenyo on the left side with the lineup that they have. I just don't see Semenyo gelling or featuring the way he does when he's used to.
Steve, Savino and Rodrigo, they both want to be in Brazil's World Cup squad.
Sure.
I mean, I think the Spurs fans called on Savino, but it's worst case scenario. I would take Rodrigo on loan.
Yeah, I probably would. I'd actually rather have Nico Williams, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Semenyo a right winger by trade that actually has been playing on the left side, just to facilitate Bournemouth's need? Correct me if I'm wrong. He's a right winger by trade, and I can understand why Liverpool has a want and desire for him, because regardless of what's going on right now, at the end of the day, it's still Liverpool. They're still a massive club. And oh, by the way, if he comes in to be a Salah replacement, Arne Slot's is not going to be around much longer anyways. And so whatever turmoil they're going through, they're going to get through it. And oh, by the way, it's still freaking Liverpool, right? So I can understand the draw of wanting to play for a team like Liverpool. I question whether or not we're capable of drawing those type of players, because quite frankly, the only way that we're going to be able to do that is if we outspend everybody and make it worth his while to come to London. And from everything that I've heard, that's something that they're prepared to do, giving a compensation package that might just be the biggest. So I guess you have to ask yourself, is Antoine Semenyo the type of player that you're preparing to give that type of money to? Or would you rather go out and actually get a guy like Nico Williams, who is a left-sided winger, who is an absolutely stone-cold killer off that left wing, who can play direct, he can play that.
Seen him on the right for Spain, though. I've seen Williams on the right for Spain as well.
Yeah, for sure. But Nico Williams is legit, man. And he can play whichever way you want to play. If you want to play that high possession style of football that Thomas Frank yearns to play, then he can do that as well too. I guess Alan brought up something that was really interesting as well too, because he said that in playing for a Man City, he's going to get lost on that left-hand side, and that's my also concern with anybody coming to Spurs as well too. I have a tendency, just by the way that we play and the way that we build up and the way that he wants to put Thomas Frank wants to possess the ball. I get a little concerned that anybody that's going to go over there on the left side is also going to get lost in the weeds. And not necessarily get the type of touches or get the type of looks that that they're looking for. So from that standpoint, I'm glad that Alan brought that up, because that was actually my one true concern. But if you're asking me which of these players that I want, I would rather have Nico Williams over all of them.
James, on Semenyo though, I mean, like, he's Ghanaian, the same as Kudus. I think any whispers in his ear? Any whispers in his ear from Kudus?
I mean,
yeah,
I mean, maybe right, but like Ghana's a big country. That's like saying that, is Harry Kane going to join because we have Eric Dyer. Hang on. No, I mean, right. Who knows? I mean, I was going to make a snarky comment about Nico Williams. Which Nico Williams? Because I think both of them would benefit us actually at the moment, especially the Welsh one. Especially the Welsh one. We could turn into basically the Welsh team.
Well,
are you Welsh, by the way? Is that why that's why you
Welsh
keep loving Welsh players? Just out of curiosity.
I wonder what this big flag is.
Oh,
Keep in mind
Oh, okay. So you're in Gryffindor. I gotcha.
The stand for my webcam broke, so it's blue tacked in place.
No,
anyway,
It's funny though.
Oh my god. Okay. Right, let me straighten this up. No. So, yeah, like Sonya's a good player. I mean, does he know Kudus? I presume most Premier League players probably. Do you think they have a big WhatsApp group I'm trying. I honestly don't know. Maybe they do. I presume if they've played for the Ghanaian national team together, they will have spoken at least once or twice. Maybe, right? Like, I imagine Spurs, if you don't have the preconceived notions of big clubs in your head, other than like maybe Real Madrid, Barcelona, Spurs are an incredibly attractive place to go because we have the best facilities in the world, we have the best stadium in the world. There's probably toilets that will wipe your bum for you at the training ground and all that other stuff. I imagine the food's probably world class. There's Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen cooking your omelets and all that jazz. I mean, I like Simeone. Whether or not it happens, it's depending.
The question still remains, though: are you prepared to break Spurs' all-time transfer record for a guy like Antoine Semenyo? Like, is that something that you're prepared to do, or is there something else out there that actually has the exact same skill set that's probably a better fit?
I'm going to make you 2 points. Firstly, it's not my money. It's not my money, so I don't care. So yes, I am, because ultimately it's a football club. It's a football club which I've invested some money into. And if Spurs are bad, then it massively impacts my emotional happiness. So sign him. I don't care. I don't care which trust fund loses money to make me happy.
All fair points.
Secondly, like, is there better players? Maybe, but I think the quality of football players has decreased quite significantly in the past 10 years in favor of system players, particularly because of a certain Catalan individual who's bald. So, if you can't grow hair, then why should I listen to you? I mean, you look at guys like Jack Grealish, incredible at Aston Villa. Pep Guardiola ruined him in like 13 months. So, a lot of players are like that. I think naturally talented players are going the way of the dodo because they want system players who retain possession, who pass the ball side to side, because you can't concede if you retain possession.
Grealish is doing better than Everton.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. I don't see us going for look when that's gone really cold on him. Although there was a lot of rumours beforehand, he seems to have an attitude problem at the club. He is. I don't think we want to go down.
He has an attitude problem. Akliouche, however, I mean, on the left side, he's got. I think Nico Williams and Akliouche both have 3 goals, 2 assists. One is like half the price of the other, though.
Yeah, Akliouche played really well for Monaco against us in the Champions League, didn't he? Tony Link, I think this is a frank. I mean, I have to admit, you got to take her out after Richarlison. He's in good form. If he could keep this form going, then fan base might change his mind on him. I'm not changing my mind on him yet. No way. He's going to have to keep this up and do a lot more. So the Tony thing, the rumour is he would be interested in coming and linking up with Tom Frank. Yeah, because no one wants to pay your £10 million tax bill and the fee for you and give you top money. That's why. So I actually think there's more chance of us getting Semenyo. I don't think that's dead. I think Slovenia now would be a second option if we could get Rodrigo and Nico Williams. And as Doco did play very well against Liverpool in that game when they played him, right? So I think he's in a bit better form. I think he's in good form, Alan, actually. But that's just my opinion on it. But yeah, so with these, quite Nico Williams was rumoured to go to Real Madrid and Barcelona. He's supposed to be on top money, but I don't know. Well, where's his team? Is it Real Betis? Where is he? I don't think. How's his team doing? Anyone got the?
He's in.
The reason I'm saying that is if you're challenging for honours, you want to move. You're not going to want to move. Bilbao.
Bilbao have a policy of only signing players
from the Basque region.
Basque region. Yeah.
Right. So, where are they in the league? Where are they in Spanish league? They'd obviously be below Barcelona and Real Madrid, wouldn't they? I mean, so.
What, Athletic Club?
Has anyone got that up?
Let me check. Give me 2 seconds. They are 7th in La Liga. They are below Espanyol, Pochettino's old club. Betis. So Barcelona are top league, then Madrid, then Villarreal, then Madrid, Atletico Madrid, then Espanyol, then Betis, then Athletic Club.
So were they in the Champions League? Are they in the Champions League this year?
No, I think they're in the Europa.
22. Check.
Yeah, they might have a chance of winning the Europa, though.
Fact checker Jones.
It's just that teams with good players, they're not going to get rid of them if they've got in January if they're challenging for honours, and they're definitely not getting rid of them if they're in threat of relegation. So unless they've got 3 players in a specific position, they can afford to let one go. So yeah, so
They're on the Champions League.
Yeah, they are in the Champions League. Yeah.
we're around the
They finished-
table.
They finished
Again,
fourth.
he has 3 goals and 2 assists, Nico Williams, in 12 matches.
They are they are 28th. They've won one game. They have 5 points.
It's gonna
But
take.
he's a
It's
right
gonna
footed.
take. Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of cash to get Nico Williams.
Well, if you
out.
bring them in, even though they've played in the Champions League, if you brought Nico Williams in, you can add him to our squad in after January. That can be done now. I think that's within the rules. So, you know, you might be out enticing. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic player, I think. I mean, you know, I think he's certainly better than Inaki Williams, who I also think was an exceptional player.
I mean, I think Slovenia has a fantastic skill set on him, but I'd rather have the more developed Semenya, Rodrigo, and Nico Williams out of these. I like Akaluish as well. I do like him, but
I mean,
I don't think Rodrigo holds up in the Premier League. Have you seen Rodrigo? That dude is slender, and it makes you wonder whether or not he's going to be able to hold up in the Premier League.
well, he scored against Man City the other day.
That's great. That's great.
I mean,
that's fine. That's fine.
I think on the one hand, I think the whole Premier League proven is kind of nonsense. Like Diego Costa went from Atletico Madrid to Chelsea and he scored like 28 goals or something in a Premier League season. However, it's more a case of, you know, in Spain they try to play football properly, lots of passing, lots of possession, right? Like even the Brent, you know, not the Brentfords, even the Sunderlands. That's not a good example, but even the Ipswiches. Right, in Spain, they try to play possession football, pass the ball, create chances. In Germany, it's all about technical ability. In Italy, it's very tactical. In the Premier League, it's all of them, plus physicality. You know, like the Premier League is another beast. Like even the worst Premier League team would probably be mid-table in Spain. Right. You know, whether or not they can adapt is another question. I'm sure if you're a world-class football player, you could adapt. You know, you go to the gym, you lift some weights, get some muscles, get some abs. You know, something that I'll never have. I will say on Ivan Toney, because I saw he was included, he got arrested recently because he attacked someone in a nightclub. And apparently, I don't know if this is true, the reason he attacked the guy was a guy came up to him and said,
he was shit.
"Have you got any bets on, mate?" And I don't want Ivan Toney coming to Tottenham because ultimately he went to Saudi Arabia, and I can't respect any person who goes to Saudi Arabia, any professional football player who goes to play football in Saudi Arabia who isn't like past their best. That to me says.
Okay, let's move on. Last point. Forest away, guys. This is where the Forest are 17th, fourth from bottom, if you want to reverse it the other way. Played 15, won 4, drawn 3, lost 8, goals for 14, goals against minus 11, right? So they've conceded 25 goals in 15 games. You know,
Last time we played them, we were. Oh, go ahead. Keep going with the
Spurs. We're 11th. Played 15, won 6, drawn 5, lost 5. Goals for 25, goals against 18, goal difference 7 points. And we got these goals with mostly non-striker goals and mostly defenders around the pitch. Yeah. And so, yeah, we're +7 points, 22. Also, guys, we've had the extra day's rest because Forest had to play on Thursday like we used to in the Europa League. So that should help. And we were at home as well. Right, so it's usually when teams go away in Europe, for some reason it happens to every team, they seem to like suffer in the next league game. So, Alan, I think after a draw and 2 wins, I think most fans will be disappointed if we don't even win this game. They expect to win.
Totally. That's it. As David's pointing out right now, last time we played them at home was the last time we played them. We lost 2-1. The time before that was away to Nottingham Forest, and we lost 1-0. So we've lost the last 2 times we played them. They don't keep a lot of clean sheets. We've kept, I think, about as many clean sheets in the last 2 games as they have had, I think, all season. You know, this is a time like Xavi's doing very well. I don't think Morgan Gibbs White has done a whole lot for them, which I think, mixed blessing. I'm not wishing ill on him so much as I'm thrilled that maybe he wouldn't have been the player we would have wanted him to be. And so we kind of lucked out by not getting him. It's not the team from last season. It's just not. They are just not firing the way they were last season. So I'm not as concerned. I don't want to take them lightly. Our form has been good, but we shouldn't take our foot off the gas. But I, in their defense, they used to be all about defense. When they were under
Nuno,
they played they were like a low block. They sat back and they would try to catch you on the counterattack.
Don't you think
now
we'll see that? Do you think we'll see that again? They've got Dyche there now. Don't you think we'll see that again?
Probably. So our defense, we just have to be careful moving our defense up. It's not Ange Highline. I don't know how Thomas Frank will set up. None of us really do. I think we'll probably see a similar team to what we've seen in the last two games because the team's doing very well. They've had some rest. And the team seems to be doing well together. So I would be surprised if he broke that up. I would be confused if he chose to start breaking that up. Unless he's looking to continue to rotate the squad. I don't rate the depth that we have like other teams have when it comes to rotation. I just don't rate it yet. He's putting in place the idea of, well, we're going to rotate into our minds and into the players' minds. But at the same time, I just don't think we have the depth necessary to do this rotation successfully like he wants. Not yet. Maybe in a couple of transfer windows.
Steve, do you think Forest are going to do the usual under Dyche, be a bit more cautious at home?
I would expect so. Sean Dyche has already came out multiple times saying that his job is to put his players in the best possible position to play to their strengths. And of course, this team was built for Nuno Espirito Santos to play a defensive-minded, pragmatic game where you pop out on the counterattack and you sit back and you defend and you do that well. And I would probably assume that that is going to happen. Now, the one thing I will say is that because Forest have essentially been on three managers in literally 3 months. There was a lot of unstableness with that club, and now that Sean Dyche has come in, they're kind of getting some of that stability back. They've had some good results under Sean Dyche. They've also had some bad results under Sean Dyche, and so I would probably assume that the more that this continues, you'll probably see Forest get back to what Forest was a little bit under Nuno, and that's why I don't necessarily take them all that lightly. Because Sean Dyche, well, whether people agree with us or not, is an underrated manager. I think he knows how to. I think he knows how to game plan very well, and I would probably assume that he's probably going to set his team up correctly. I think at times we're going to see Spurs with a lot of possession, but I also think at times he's going to go after Spurs, with a little bit of a counter press. Everybody understands that's the way that you're going to be able to beat Spurs, is to constantly put them under pressure and make them beat you. And I think we're going to see a few different things. I think we're going to see multiple looks from Nottingham Forest. But I guess the one question is whether we are capable. And I think Alan just hit this one on the head, right? Number one, are we going to have the depth? Because you would probably assume there's going to be some rotation at certain positions. Rando Kolo Muani, the last time we really saw him starting was on the left-hand side against Brentford, and that absolutely looked pretty good. And I would probably assume that they're going to try that again. But the other thing is this team capable of breaking down a low block? Legitimately, can they absolutely do that? Because I think that we're going to see a lot of that potentially in the second half, especially if Spurs actually have a 1-goal lead and we're fishing for 2. They're probably just going to sit back in a low block. And can we actually do that? Can we actually take Forest to the sword? because the one thing that we couldn't do against Brentford is put them to the sword. We actually sat on a 2-goal lead, and it was like, that's good enough. We don't need to go fishing for that third goal. And then against Slavia, it was, we were actually gifted 2 penalties, and we were gifted an own goal that allowed us to have that 3-goal lead. Right? We didn't actually score from the run of play. We didn't even put ourselves in a position to put them to the sword. So that's something that I want to know: is this team capable of doing it? Because it would seem like we're catching Forest right at the right time, and you wonder whether or not that club has stabilized under Dyche. So that's something that I want to see. If we're in a position where we're up 2-1, can we actually, in that 60 to 70 minute mark, can we actually put a team to the sword? That's something that I think I really want to see from this club. That's how you know if this team has actually turned a corner, that they understand how to put teams away.
James, how do you think this game's going to shape up?
5-0 win for Spurs.
Man off the moon.
Right. Aside from the confident bravado, Forest massively overperformed last season. They shouldn't have been in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Obviously, because they got in because their owner, who allegedly is a criminal, prove me wrong, Mr. Marinakis, sue me. They should have been in the Conference League. Ultimately, they massively overperformed XG. They're a mid-table side who had a massive overperforming season. They sacked the manager that got them there. They are a bottom half of the table side. They're not very good. All right, Sean Dyche is a decent manager, but I'm pretty sure my old football coach Kev is a better manager than he is. I think we'll win comfortably. End of.
Adrian, I got to run.
Right, okay. Give us your score before you go.
I think it's going to be 3-0.
To Spurs, I hope.
To Spurs, yes.
Okay.
We're at home. 3-0.
Okay. We'll carry on. Thanks for coming on. We'll get you back next week, Al, as usual, regular friend of the show. Better
Thanks,
put your
guys.
thing up. This is where you can find Alan. Get over there, Team Tottenham Go. You got anything coming up on your show?
I'll be doing a reaction on Sunday to get after the Forest game.
I'm sure we'll all look forward to that. So get over there, guys, those you watching on Playbook and the 40 odd of you that are watching us on various platforms and those in the chat. Get over there and subscribe. And while you're there, while you're subscribing to him, subscribe to Spurs Diehards and Steve as well at Stateside Footy, which is here. Go over there and subscribe because it helps the algorithm. We bring you the content for nothing. So it only takes a second to hit that subscribe button and to give the video a thumbs up, which all helps the algorithm, helps us to grow. And then we can bring you more content, better content. So we'll go to the predicted lineup. This is where I'm going to differ with Alan because I think there will be changes. But Steve in goal, we do the goal on the centre backs, then the full backs, then the midfield. So don't do it all. Just start with the goalkeeper, Vicario.
Vicario. Vicario. I have a feeling that Kinski's probably going to get moved in January. I get that. I get that feeling, considering that I think Kinski or his agent has been vocal now to the media about his lack of playing time and the fact that he was promised first team minutes when he came in, and now obviously things have changed, and now it feels like he's ready to get out of Spurs, which it sucks because I like Kinski, but that being said, he needs to keep on playing, and he needs to play in order for him to reach his potential. If he's just not going to start over Vicario.
Yeah, so centre backs then, the obvious pick, Steve?
Yeah, 100% Romero BDB. And I don't see unless he surprises, unless he throws a curveball and surprises all of us by playing a back three. I would assume that it's going to be BDB and Romero. One of the things that I will say, that if that is something that he's looking at as potential, it's not just the idea of Danso back there, because we actually just saw Ben Davis come back into the squad as well too, and it looked like he played a little bit in that game against Slavia Praha too. So it's nice seeing Ben Davis back, but I can't imagine
he got a big cheer as well in that stadium.
Yeah. And I can't imagine we're going to go to a back three just to facilitate Ben Davies. But that being said, it's another option. But yeah, it's going to be Romero Benevent.
So I'm sure all three of us probably agree on that. So fullbacks, I think they pick themselves, don't they, James?
Yeah, Porro is certainly going to start. It's a game where we're going to have to break the other team down, and I think Porro certainly excels in that. And it's Udogie, right? He's fit, isn't he?
No, I don't think he is.
Isn't he? Okay, so it's going to be Spence. Yeah, so it's
He's
going to
got
be
a
Spence.
soft tissue issue.
Yeah. Okay.
He's going to be out till January, Udogie.
I don't think he was
This is
fit.
why I think
Yeah.
maybe the FA Cup or whatever. I think we might see
Yeah.
Davis at fullback because
Yeah.
you can't keep playing these two.
Sorry.
Porro's been like a workhorse as well, so you might even see Gray switch to a fullback position. I mean, I don't think he will. I think Davis will come in
No,
first.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think
we'll see, under Ange, 100%. You would see Archie Gray at that position. I think under Thomas Frank, Porro would have to be out and Spence would have to be out before you'd see Archie Gray go into a fullback role. I will say that we probably would see Ben Davis at left back before we'd ever see Archie Gray at a right back position.
I will raise an interesting point who my mate, who is a West Ham fan, actually made to me. And his point was that he thinks Van der Ven would be a better left back than centre back.
No.
Interesting point.
He plays
Maybe
there for
we'll
Holland.
see that at some point. Yeah,
plays left
I
back for Holland.
think it's an interesting point. And I will say,
I take
Ben Davies. He's not Ben Davies. He's the Welsh Maldini.
Yeah.
He's the Welsh.
So let's get on. Now, I would disagree with Alan keeping the same. I'll stay with you, James. Give us your midfield three first, right?
For Forest, I think you've got to. Pauline is going to start. I think we need him. He's our only real six.
Yep.
Forest are going to sit deep, so you don't need that many runners. So Saar probably goes to the bench. So I think you go Gray, then you go Bergval. Or do you go Bergval and Xavi? I think maybe you go Bergval and Xavi. It's a toss-up between Xavi, Gray, and Bergval. I'm not quite sure who I want to leave out there. That's difficult for me. I'm not 100% sure. Top of my head, I'd say you go Gray and Xavi as your mid three. But I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, it's good though because if we can't pick them, wait till Maddison and Kulu's back, right? You know what I mean? So, Dave, you're free.
I agree with him. I think Polina is your starting six, and I think against Nottingham Forest, considering I don't think there's going to be a lot of high pressure. They're not the type of team that's going to try to play the way Arne Slot's trying to play at Liverpool or PSG, where you're playing this high possession, total dominant style of Pep Guardiola football. Right? They are going to be a counterattacking team, and I don't think you need to have a defensive double pivot. Where you're going to have facilitate Bentancur and Polina. That being said, I will say that Archie Gray has been playing so goddamn well that you almost can't keep him out of the starting 11 to the point where that's who I want to that's who I want to play that deep lying midfielder because of his ability to track forward, to make runs. He finds himself in the box at times, but it's also the fact that he's calm and cool under pressure. He does not make mistakes. And I think that, if Thomas Frank is true to his word that he rewards good play by getting starts, then you're going to have to keep him in. I also like the fact that he tracks back as well, and he's also he's not a defensive liability. If you absolutely need him, he's actually very good on the ball defensively as well too. And my 10 is going to be Xavi as well too. So my midfield three is Polina, Gray, Xavi.
Well, what I'd like to see, because Paulina is very good at what he does, but winning more tackles than anyone else. But he's not got the legs to get across the field and cover. He does go up, but he hasn't got the legs in midfield.
Who is this?
Paulina. Paulina hasn't got the legs in midfield. I'd like him to stay at the club, but I can see us letting him go, and I really can. I mean, I think he'd do a very good job for us if he stayed, but I think he'll let him go, and that's partly because Gray's shown what he can do. I would like to see Gray, Bergval, and Xavi. I'd like to see Gray playing a bit deep. I'd like to see Gray, Bergval, and Xavi. That gives us so much legs in midfield. You've always got Saar, who hasn't started as well. I mean, he may. You could go Saar. I mean, if you really want an engine, you go Saar, Gray, and Bergvall, right? You could do those three. That would be such an engine in midfield. Because I think we're going to have more of the ball. And then, like, you've got the option of bringing Xavi on. He's played a couple of games on the spin. You can bring him on 60 minutes or whatever. Frank may even start. I mean, we're starting to get. This is getting us all thinking now. But I'm thinking an away game for legs and winning the ball. You know, I mean,
what I will say is that number one, it's obvious that Gray and Bergvall are the future in midfield for Tottenham Hotspur. I think that is definitive. But as of right now, João Palhinha is our best midfielder right now at the club. He is our best. And that's something that you like, and especially considering that if we didn't have him, was one of the biggest reasons that plagued Ange, because he didn't have a legit six to drop in with those back two last year, and we were absolutely gutted through the midfield. And I will say that you're absolutely right about it. Is he pacey? He's not as pacey as he used to be, but that being said, he's still not a defensive liability, and he's also by the way, he's he's somebody that you could potentially play the ball through in the midfield. But I will say that one of the things that I liked about that performance versus Brentford was the fact that we were far more direct on the counterattack. And I have to remind you, that first goal that Richarlison came against, or that Richarlison scored to open up the scoring in Brentford, it was a turnover in the mid, and Xavi makes a run off the back shoulder of his defender straight through the right channel into the box, and the ball was, instead of the ball being played backwards to slow it down, it went automatically forward, and it caught him on his foot, and he was able to do what Xavi does best, and that's exactly how Xavi is supposed to be played. They tried to do against Slavia Praha twice, and it just turns out that their defenders were able to catch up from behind. But that being said, it's like that's why Xavi is probably going to be in the starting lineup, because I think they found a nice little rhythm with him, especially on the counterattack. But that being said, it's like Archie Gray. I do agree with you that it would be nice to see Archie Gray kind of get that start and that baton pass. But right now we're in such a delicate spot right now, considering the games that are still ahead of us. We still kind of need João Palhinha. Yeah. And I will say that especially for this game, I still think that Archie Gray right there and kind of at that deep liar makes perfect sense for this match.
And James, when you consider that he has rotated and Graham, Sarr and Bergvall haven't started in the last game.
Well, we
might be making a case for Sarr and Bergvall to start with Palhinha.
Yeah, I mean, I just made my mind up a minute ago. You play Xavi on the left, Bergvall in the middle, and then you go with Palhinha and Gray. You could actually argue that you go Sarr and Gray in the midfield against Forest, arguably. But I will say that our fixture congestion doesn't really start for another week. We have a decent gap between this game and the next game. So I guess you don't really have to rotate too much until the next game. So you can kind of go with whatever you think the best 11 is. I'd go Xavi on the left, Kudus, Bergvall in the middle. Then the two would be Palhinha, Gray, and then probably Richarlison up front. Or Cullen Moana, whoever's doing better in training, because they're both in form.
Just out of curiosity, why Xavi on the left?
Because then I think you've got creativity on the left-hand side in terms of progressive passing. You've got ball progression in the middle through Bergvall. Then on the right, you've got creativity through crossing and ball carrying, dribbling, running. You've got different kinds of creativity on each side of the pitch, and that gives us more options to break down Forest, who are going to sit deep.
He did. When Bergvall got concussed and for 10 minutes he was on, he put him on the left to do the Morgan Rogers sort of job. So when you get to the front three, I mean, like you could put Xavi on the left, but he's done quite well being given sort of a free role in the middle. Let's go front threes, guys, because I'm sure, I mean, Richarlison's in hot form, but does he get rested? Do we start Moani?
I think that we're going to see the front three that we saw against Brentford, and I think that's going to be Moani lined up out left a little bit, and I think it's going to be Richarlison through the middle and Kudus off the right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think you go Xavi.
Johnson will be on the bench. He has had a knock, so I think he's available for this week. This got Sunday though, at 2:00 UK time.
I think you go Xavi, Kudus, Richie. We're going to end up crossing the ball a lot. And Richie, for all of his flaws, Richie has always been good in the box. He's good aerially. And he's always good at causing a nuisance. And I think at some point, one cross will be near his head and he'll probably score.
I don't think he'd play Xavi on the left. I mean, if you're going to try and if he's going to rotate, then Søren Bergvall start. I mean, Gray's done a couple of games. So you could go Søren Bergvall and Gray. Look, because on 60 minutes, you can change things. You can change things on 60 minutes. So, and you're away from home. So I do expect Frank to be a little bit. If we was in rip-roaring form and smashing it home and away and we were really in hot form, then you pick a real attacking lineup and frighten the death out of the home side. But we've shown improvement recently, but not enough to sort of like say this is an absolute turning point. It's better. It's like the ideas are getting across. We are improving as a team, but not enough yet. Not enough to give us tremendous confidence, I don't think.
This is where perhaps like I differ. Is like Xavi versus Colin Mawani. Okay, Colin Mawani is more attacking to me. Xavi is like, yeah, he's attacking because he's brilliant on the ball. He's great at progressing play, but he's also very good at keeping the ball. And then you look at Bergvall, he's also equally good at that. And then if you look at a midfield of Paulinho and Gray, actually, that is kind of defensive in a certain aspect. Or even like Sarr and Gray is kind of defensive. Okay, like, yeah, it's great going forward as well. But there is still that defensive solidity. And that way you can commit your fullbacks to go a lot further forward. And like, it's a Sean Dyche side. They're going to play mid block or a low block, right? Like they're going to sit back. They're not going to press you very much. You're going to have time on the ball. And I think you're much better off with players who can do things with the ball other than try and beat their man. They're much better at passing through things. Or at the very least, I think Xavi is pretty good at crossing, and we're going to end up crossing the ball a lot. You could argue that playing Colin on the left means that if we get something going down on the right, you have two good players in the air in the box to aim for. That's a perfectly valid point to make.
Yeah.
Right? But you know, it's one of those things. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to how.
I think because the front three of Richarlison in the middle with Marnie on the left and Kudus, they all press and they all track back. Those three track back as well. Yeah. And you're away from home. You just need that as the guarantee. If you get a couple of goals up or something, you can change things at half time on 50 minutes or whatever, 55 minutes. But so I think because Richie, we know if he does drift to the left, he'll hold the left up. He's going to track back whatever happens. Right? I'm not a fan of his. I've got to admit, I don't think he's the total solution for us long term. But we'll see. If he keeps his form up, then I'll have to eat my words, won't I?
That's actually a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, they do all work hard. One thing, you know, well, you can say two things for Richie. He's good in the box, and he does always work really hard.
So, scores, guys. Scores?
Ooh. Well, okay. So last week I ended my run of predicting a draw for 6 straight weeks. Just because I didn't want to predict Spurs to lose, even though I had a good feeling they would. So it's right down the middle. You predict a draw and you hope for the best, right? Last week I actually predicted a win, and sure enough, we did. I think I predicted 2-1 because we always generally leak a goal. But sure enough, we kept a clean sheet. So I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs on the road at the City Ground. And I think we find out what this team is absolutely going to be made of. And I think goal scorers are going to be I'm going to take Richie because he's on a nice little run of form right now. I'm going to take a goal by Xavi, and I'm going to take a goal by BDV off a set piece.
So, score, James?
First time this season, other than after the PSG game, where I've been quite optimistic, actually. I think 4-0. I think how the game goes largely depends on when we score. If we score like within the first 15, 20 minutes, right, then it's going to be a comfortable win. And we'll score all the goals, you know, by the first hour, and then we'll just sort of cruise through the game. if we don't score till the second half, then we'll get a few more, and it'll be a bit of a happy flurry. Unlike the McFlurry, which you can't get at McDonald's because their machine's always broken. I think it's one of those ones. I think ultimately we are a much better side, and that's not to knock on Dyche or Forest, but I think we know how they're going to set up. We have the quality, and I think we will just overpower them, sort of thing. It just depends when we get that first breakthrough. I'm going to go 4-0 because I'm optimistic for once, and I'd like to believe, man. Just need it.
I'm gonna go 3-0 Spurs because I think we're going to keep this momentum going. So all good there. With that, well, we're done, guys. And you can find Steve, Stateside Footy. What you got coming up, Steve?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So tomorrow at 1:00 Eastern, 6 UK time, it is the Hotspur pre-match build-up as we get set for Nottingham Forest. We're going to be talking a lot about whether these two wins were actually legit improvement or whether it was just good timing that we came up against maybe a little bit of inferior opposition. Also, we're going to be talking about, whether it was a good thing that some of the handbrake was released against Brentford, and whether that's going to be something that we're going to see moving forward. So that is going to be tomorrow at 1:00, and then on Sunday we have the Hotspur live stream at 9:00 Eastern. So there's plenty of good stuff coming up this weekend, and I'm thinking about doing a retro U.S. men's national team live stream as we're building up towards the 2026 World Cup. So that is still in the works.
Right. I want to thank all my guests. You know who you are. We'll get you all back next Friday. We'll be a regular guest and friends of the show, so we get you back for that. Right. There's 40 of you watching us on various platforms. We can't see the subscribe button in the bottom right corner, but if you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second. We're bringing you free content. And if you give the videos a thumbs up, it helps the algorithm, and the more we grow, the better content we can bring you. You can also find us on Facebook, Spurs Dials. You can find us on XCOM. We've got a WhatsApp group. If you want to become guest on any of those shows, all we need is your phone number to add you to the group. And we've got a Discord as well. Same thing again. You can message us. As long as you find a way to message us, either through Facebook, WhatsApp, XCOM. If you can message me through there, then private message, then we can exchange phone numbers and guests are welcome on the show. We pride ourselves in being a mature and sensible, fact-based group. Don't laugh. All right. And and with that, thank everyone in the chat for their comments and questions. And with that, and big up to everyone who watches on playback. And with that, I'll play you out with this. And thank you all again.
Go on, you Spurs.
We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die, hearts, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die, hearts, heart and soul. We are Tottenham